Today is that very, very tragic day.
I honestly would have never remembered.
Where we almost lost our bought-off republic.
We almost... Chris Garrett, did I offend you with the C word? Oh, my goodness.
I'm very broken up about this day. I feel like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert. But you know,
we all almost lost everything because of the QAnon shaman and his podium. Steelers almost stole our republic from us.
But this text message it made the rounds today. Joseph, I was working from home on January 6th. Then we saw it. Trump's mob storming our Capitol. My heart stopped. People I helped elect were inside that building. At 6:55 p.m., I finally saw a message from AOC. I'm okay. Those words took me straight back to Afghanistan. Taliban martyrs. Base lockdown. Me texting my husband. I'm okay. But I wasn't okay then. And America isn't okay now. So give me more money.
Who is that from? And Peter added this, so give me more money. What is that?
Well, this is a text message for money.
That's from who?
Some person. I just saw it. I grabbed it. I said, yep, this pretty much is the same message that they're all throwing out there.
Well, they need some fundraising material. What else are they going to do? They already lost. They're stuck with him in there for another 4 years. So they're going to have to fundraise off of something. So why not keep fear-mongering about what almost happened with the QAnon shaman and the podium guy?
Here's what I will say about January 6th. Do I think that there were ill-intended people that went to the Capitol? Absolutely. It's about 100,000. It's about 100,000 people that went there. About 500 of them were able to get inside the Capitol. But make no mistake, the only reason that anybody was able to get into that Capitol was because the feds allowed them in.
There's a lot of very weird variables about it, but at the end of the day, anybody who really, I find it hard to believe that anybody with any real knowledge about anything truly felt that our democracy was at stake. Like, that to me is just so like ridiculously hyperbolic.
You needed the United States military at least 100, if not 200,000 deep to basically declare martial law and put the country on lockdown on January 6, 2021.
Oh, it would take even way more than that. In fact, I'm pretty sure at the time Bo did a video about it, explaining how logistically this was not even a possible thing that could happen.
Now, do I think that there was effery in the election in 2020? Yeah, I do. But
every election.
But not for the reasons that, you know, Trump and his people are espousing.
Don't we think there's effery in every election?
I think once it was obvious, because if there's one thing that the Democratic Party does do that the Republicans generally don't, Republicans just like to kick people off of ballots. That's their way of cheating. But Democrats ballot harvest. You know how easy it is to ballot harvest when every single voter in the entire country gets a mail-in ballot? Trust me, it's a lot easier. That's part of the reason why they fight hard against it. So do I think that there was something to the efforts of Google and the billionaire class that did not want Trump as president anymore? Do I think that they made a concerted effort to frame his coverage in a very negative light and Biden's in a very positive light? Absolutely. Do I think that the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop played a role? Absolutely. It was a collection of a lot of different things. But COVID, when you stand on ceremony and talk about January 6th, and in many cases people did, saying that it was worse than Pearl Harbor, you're fucked up. Like,
they have those are the people that are doing that to me, or like, that's in my head how I think of as blue MAGA people. Those are the blue MAGA people. They're scared for their lives.
The other thing you have to remember about the people that scream the loudest about January 6th, about how you have to listen to us because, God forbid, Trump gets in again. These are also the last people alive who will ever demand a single-payer healthcare system, that will ever demand that you have a living wage, that will ever demand that we stop this endless war in Ukraine, that we stop this genocide in Gaza, that we do not go to war in Taiwan, that we do not regime change in Venezuela because we want their oil.
Well, we just regime changed Syria, or we regime list Syria. They no longer have a regime. Oh yeah, the guy who we had as one of the most wanted criminals on the globe is now who we want to be in charge over there. So
it is pretty remarkable when you really get down to it. It is pretty remarkable how much juice they've been able to squeeze out of this political orange. Like, it really is. It's almost remarkable in a way.
It's a little pitiful. I was bored with it after, like, the day after it happened, quite honestly.
Yeah. Now, do I think things got dicey, as Jordan showed when John Farina covered it on Status Coup? Absolutely. But you know what else happened? John Farina got footage, raw footage on the ground of Ray Epps and every other spook in that audience that ushered the shaman and the lectern guy and all those other people into the Capitol. No one breaches the U.S. Capitol on election certification day unless it's an inside job. Not possible. You know why? Because if it was a real threat to democracy and they were armed, then the U.S. military through the National Guard would have been there, and there would have been a lot of dead bodies. That's the bottom line. But that didn't happen.
Or if the people that were doing the insurrection were black. If it were a Black Lives Matter group, then there would be a lot of dead bodies.
You had a handful of people that did make asses of themselves, but the fact of the matter is, we are a broken republic. We have been for a very long time, and there are people on, as MX Diva says, what democracy? There's no such thing.
No.
The sooner you realize that, the sooner you understand why there were 100,000 people that showed up at the Capitol that simply refused to believe that Trump, who was an 80% favorite to win re-election 6 months prior to, and then you literally put the nation on lockdown. And not only does Biden win, but he wins in a sizable margin in the popular vote, but barely skates in the Electoral College due to the flipping of 3 states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin. And that's what happened this time. Only this time, Trump won in fairly convincing fashion.
So, guys, if you... Oh, are you still...
One last thing.
Okay.
And one last thing. John Farina did our nation a service that day. He covered that event better than anybody in all of media.
And who is John Farina?
John Farina is Jordan Chariton's cameraman at Status Coup. And you know what happened to John Farina and Status Coup News? They stole their footage. They never got proper credit. They were never given the opportunity to grow their channel the way that they should have. They suppressed the shit out of them for doing real journalism, but they're not part of the club. And when you're not part of the club, you're not allowed to get credit for doing this kind of work.
No.